I was commenting earlier this evening. This is June, I'm not sure, the 12th. June the 12th in the evening. I was commenting to Cheezehead Chris about his old-fashioned fire and meal. And he made Juicy Lucy burgers. I told him when I was a scout, we did kind of the same thing, only we never had that name for it. What we called them was super soup burgers. The Scoutmaster used to use onion soup mix that they made themselves. I have adapted that to my own way of thinking. So what I have here are some of the onions that I showed you my dehydrating. I have some button mushroom, dehydrated. Don't take a lot. So here's the onions. I decided to film this after the thaw. That's why the onions were already in the blender bowl. Some red bell pepper, red and orange and so on. These are, yeah, red, yellow, and orange bell peppers, dehydrated. Now, I got to get a couple other items. Hang on a minute. Okay, now what I'm going to add here is some of my beef pocket soup. A couple of, about, that's a teaspoon, so I'm going to go a teaspoon and a half. And a scant half teaspoon of salt. And now, and yes, as in the video where I'm showing you me making a clothespin bag from an old denim jacket sleeve, I'm still without a shirt on because it's still in the 90s. Even though, as that window tells you, it is well past dark outside. I'll be honest, what I wish I had right now was my spice coffee grinder. I have two Braun coffee grinders. One I use for coffee, one I use for spices. When I took them out of storage where my wife has had them hidden for 8 years, I found out that the spice grinder was no good. The motor was seized up. But this should just get the job done with this. Yeah, well, it's working. I'll bring you back once I get it better. I just wish we had smell-o-vision. Because I cannot even begin to tell you how good. See, this is not a perfectly airtight chamber. So the dust, some of it does seep out when I'm blending it. And boy, let me tell you, it smells wonderful. And there we have it. That's fine enough for what we want. It's finer than what onion soup mix comes in a box. And should cook up nicely in the burger. Now this will go into a baggie and go into my preps. That's enough mix to do about 50 burgers. I only put about a teaspoon per 4 burgers. Like I say, we're not trying to onion it out, just add a little flavor. So there you have it. Their Super Soup Mix Emburrado style. And this video is going to be tagged on. Here we go, Chris. Old-fashioned meal over an old-fashioned fire. Well, my friends, this is a VR for our friend Cheezehead Chris. And what Chris wanted, pretty sure it was Chris, I'll notate down below. Because it's been about a month and or a little more, and I've been excruciatingly busy. Too busy to get around to doing this until now. But if I'm right in my memory, Chris wanted an old-fashioned fire and an old-fashioned meal. Now, I had made mention of Super Soup burgers the way I'd learned them years ago. Damn planes, I'm so tired of them. Now, a Weber version of hibachi is not an old-fashioned fire device. But as I mentioned in an earlier video, because of where I'm hanging my hat these days, I am not going to build a ground campfire because I need to leave as little sign as possible when I do bug out of here. So we're just going to use this to contain the fire up off the ground. But it is still going to be an old-fashioned fire. And you say, Emburrado, how can it be an old-fashioned fire if it's not on the ground? Well, first off, because of how I'm going to light the fire. You recognize this stuff, folks? This is cedar and or poplar bark that I harvested quite some time back here. And what am I going to be using for fuel? No, I'm not cutting down trees today. Let me turn you around here. I've already lumped out some natural chunk charcoal. And yes, natural chunk charcoal is a very old-fashioned way of starting up a fire. Matter of fact, if you research going back to the 16 and 1700s, natural chunk charcoal is what blacksmiths used to fire their forges with. So it is very old-fashioned. And the way I'm going to ignite it, no, I'm not using a match or a bic. I'm going old school. And matter of fact, there's only one thing older than, well, there's only a few things older than this method of lighting fire. Matter of fact, in one variation, Otzi the Iceman carried this with him. Now, he didn't have a fancy, modern-day steel striker. But he did have charred material, and he did have flint. But instead of steel, what he had was iron pyrites. I don't have any iron pyrites. Wish I did. The last piece I had went up with my Ram in the fire of 2012, and I have not yet been able to find another piece to replace it with. So, I'll be using my own homemade charcoal. And thanks to a gentleman flint snapper out there, I'll be using some nice chert. I believe this is root beer.
I was commenting to a fellow the other day, last month, whatever, that you see these guys on TV, they strike their flint one time and they catch an ember. And I told him, pay little attention to that, because even us old pros who've been doing flint and steel forever rarely get an ember on the first strike. And that is just example right there that I just showed you of what I was talking about. It is excruciatingly rare, even for someone like me who's been doing flint and steel for going on, oh God, 60 years or more, to catch a spark on the first strike. It's the luck of the bounce of the spark, period, end of discussion. So you get guys like Canterbury who also, through the magic of editing, get a spark on their first show. Yeah, well, how many goes did they edit out before they actually got that spark? I've been known to get a spark to catch on the char cloth on the first go, but I think I can count on just one hand the number of times that it actually occurred over all the years that I've been doing flint and steel. Damn, I felt that spark catch on my hand. Trouble is char cloth wasn't on my hand there. Another thing I see a lot of guys doing out there, they'll take out one thin layer of char cloth and put that on their flint and start hammering away. No. Get your big pile of it. I take a couple slices that are as big as the tin, and I tear them up in little pieces. So I got a lot of trailing edges to try and help me catch the sparks. Dang it. Now, I'm not going to tell you who it was that I mentioned to that about the number of strikes it takes. He can comment on it if he wants, but I don't wish to embarrass anybody. But he was, if I remember correctly, in his video, he was doing flint and steel for the first time, and he got it on like the 6th or 8th strike. And I commented how well he's doing. Because even old timers like me, it sometimes takes a whole bunch to catch an actual spark. Yeah, in case you didn't notice, there goes another one of them big old noisy birds. I'm still only a few miles from the airport. It's one of the reasons why I can't wait to get out of this state. Bloody hell. Oh, let's try a different honk. This one's not wanting to cooperate today. So let's go to this darker piece in here. See if it wants to help me out. This is the root beer piece I was talking about. These are something else. Ow! You'll have to forgive my hoarse voice too, because this is the first time this has occurred to me, but there's something in these woods that I'm allergic to. And I ain't figured out what it is yet. Well, see if this char cloth in the bag is any better. Could be that stuff is just damp because it hasn't been sealed up. I do believe that's the answer to that. Just took an ember, took a spark that quick and easy. There we go. So, but rather than waste it, I'm going to tuck that in the bird's nest of less than fully processed bark. like that. We've got ignition. Now I want you to take very careful note. I only had a few lumps of charcoal on there to begin with. Those few lumps have now caught an edge. I'm hoping. Seems to be a sufficiency of heat there. I'll bring you back when I've got some glowing embers to cook over. Okay, there we go. I got a brazier full of hot coals. And not one drop of petroleum product was used. Not one drop of accelerant was used. All that was put in there was some of my own hand-gathered poplar bark and some char cloth with my flint and steel. Now, why would I go to all this effort? Because I don't like the taste of petroleum in my food. As in, i.e., lighter fluid. That's why I don't bother with those matchlight charcoal briquettes. I think that's nasty. Now, let me get over here. Oh, fudge. Let's take a a look down here in my foot locker. And for lunch today, we're having bacon and eggs. I could dig down in here and I could go for my cast iron fry pans, but you know what I'm going to grab? My steel camp griddle. I'm going to get that right on the heat. And when it gets hot, I'll bring you back. Oh, look at there. I almost forgot to invite you back along. Oh, look at how hot that thing is now. Oh, my. Let me get you up here in the clamp. I even started to set the bacon open, and it got almost too hot in the process. So let's get some bacon on that very hot griddle. Oh my. Listen to that bad boy sizzle. Now yeah, you all have probably by now seen the video of me using the same griddle on the kitchen stove. Well, that's because I had to get accustomed to my new piece of kit and how it would react on a normal stove, so I would know what to expect out here using it over coals. Man, that sucker's so hot. Wow. Goes up that bottom vent just a bit. It's way too hot. Well, ow, bugger. What do you want for tag sale special on the tongs? That's what these are. These are tag sale special. Where I got them from. The tag sale. Man, this thing's so hot I can feel it on my legs. You betcha that thing's hot. You know what I forgot to grab out was that plate. Well, yeah. Now, one thing you have to remember, though, when cooking in natural chunk charcoal is it don't last as long as briquettes, and it certainly don't last anywhere near as long as regular coal. I'll be back in a minute. Oh, there we go. Got last piece of bacon going on the griddle. I've already poured off some of the baking fat. I'm going to do likewise again here in just a minute. Wow, those are even hot. There. Okay. You see, unlike some people, I don't throw away the bacon grease. I have many, many other uses for it. Most of them, not all, but most of them, culinary. Yeah, in other words, most of them cooking. You never go wrong with pork products, my friend. Never, ever, ever go wrong with a pork product. My goodness. Well, I can't call this Canteen Cup Tuesdays, now can I? Since it's Saturday, and I'm not sure what day of the week I'll end up getting this loaded up. Probably be on a Monday, so. Don't misunderstand me. I got a Canteen Cup in that Foot Locker I could use. But for what? And that is such good bacon. My goodness, that is good bacon. Now, let's do this once again. Drain that fat. That's way more than what I'm going to need for frying eggs in on the griddle next. Wow. Don't let anybody fool you. Cooking with charcoal is hot stuff. Yeah, those are pretty good for a tag sale pickup for a quarter. These tongs. They got the soft scallops on one side. They got the meat spikes on the other. Not bad for a quarter. Tag sale special. Yeah, I hear a lot of people out there screaming at their computers. That's a non-stick griddle. You're not supposed to use metal utensils on it. Well, the labels that says do not use metal utensils are for the people who need signs to remember to breathe. Like Engvall says, here's your sign. Yeah, well, I don't need signs. So in case you couldn't tell, the metal never actually touches the griddle. It only touches the meat. The only time metal touches the griddle is when I go to flip an egg. That's it. It's the only time. Yummy. Oh, minus 25 points. Stuck to the thing as I went to pull it away. Bummer. Oh. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Despair and agony on me. Now, it's going to seem like a little much. I have 6 eggs, and I'm going to use them all up. But here's the thing. Out here in this camp, ice is at a premium. And I haven't got money to spend on buying a lot of ice. So these eggs got to get used up quick. So. Somebody needs to go see Midas. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what they mean by over easy. And I remember hearing people say you can't cook eggs on a griddle that you just cooked meat on. Funny, I'm having zero difficulty cooking eggs on a griddle that I just finished cooking meat on. Yummy. See how much charcoal is left there, unused? You know what they say, waste not, want not. For supper, it was my intention to have some elbows and spaghetti sauce. So, I'll get out my pasta spaghetti pot. And I will get me some salt. First things first, take this off for a minute. As I say, waste not, want not. I'm going to move the majority of this coal onto the end where I'm going to put the pot. Concentrate heat down here. Wow, wow, wow. water on to boil. Ah, I did take it out. Lid to go on top. And I'll add the pasta to it in a little bit. But in the meantime, I'm going to have my lunch. Peace out.
By the way, don't forget to